a tugboat and a friendly tugboat too. A friendly tugboat too. Oh, Theodore likes to do the things that friendly tugboats do.
Hello. How are you today? I'm great. What, this? This is nothing. It's not as bad as it looks. Oh, I was hammering and, well, my thumb here kind of got in the way. But I can still do all my regular Harbourmaster jobs just fine. Oh, yes. And my job today is to inspect the tugboats. And since it's an official inspection, I have to wear my official uniform. Just button it up. It'll look good. Oh, dear. This bandage keeps getting in the way. What kind of Harbourmaster can't even button up his own uniform? Everybody's gonna think I'm silly. Probably all gonna laugh at me. Now I know how Emily felt. The time that she had the bruised bumper. One fine morning, the tugs were setting off to work. Suddenly, they heard the roar of a powerful engine. Now, if you've ever heard that roar, you'd know there was only one tugboat in the Big Harbour who could make that sound. Emily. "Come on, slowpokes," shouted Emily, barreling between her friends with a great big smile. "Lead the way, Emily," said Theodore. Theodore and George tried to follow where Emily led them, but it sure wasn't easy keeping up with Emily. She raced around boats and islands and bellbuoys, calling, "Catch up! Catch up!" the whole time. She was having so much fun, Emily didn't realize her lifeboat had come loose. The dispatcher had chosen Theodore, George, and Emily to bring in a big container ship. Emily got to the ship first, of course, and Theodore and George came motoring along after her, all out of breath. "Emily," puffed George, "you're the fastest, strongest tugboat in the whole harbor." "Emily can do anything," smiled Theodore. When everyone had buttoned their tow ropes onto the container ship, Emily gave 2 mighty blasts of her whistle and set off. Leading a big ship into the harbor made Emily feel like she could do anything. And that was the biggest, best feeling in the whole wide, wet world. Soon, they arrived at the dock. "Prepare to dock," Emily commanded, swinging around to the side of the ship to help push him into place. "Keep your end steady, Theodore," she ordered. "George, tighten your tow rope." Emily scooted around to check how close the ship was to the dock, and then she saw a surprising sight. "My lifeboat," she said to herself. How did it get there? Emily didn't want to stop the whole docking just to get her lifeboat, but she didn't want her lifeboat to get squished by the big ship. She revved her engine and raced in to push her lifeboat out the other side. But George and Theodore didn't know that Emily was behind the ship, and at that very moment, they gave an extra push. "Ouch!" cried Emily. The big container ship banged right into her. George and Theodore stopped docking right away and hurried to see what happened. "Emily!" shouted Theodore. Are you all right?" I'm fine," replied Emily, sounding a little shaky. Let's get back to work." Theodore and George got back into place, waiting for Emily to begin docking again. As soon as Emily tried to push with her big front bumper, ouch! Oh! She knew something was wrong. "Emily, what's the matter?" called George. "Are you sure you're okay?" added Theodore. "Well," said Emily, "maybe I should go to the repair dock." Emily still hadn't returned from the repair dock by the time storytelling time was over that evening. "I wonder why Emily isn't back yet," said Theodore, still looking around to see if his friend was coming. One by one, the tugboats turned to their docks and went to sleep. A little later, there was a tiny little putt-putt sound. If you'd never heard that sound before, you'd have been very surprised to know that it was coming from Emily. She was going very slowly, and she had a big, colorful patch on her bruised bumper. Emily had waited until the other tugboats were asleep to return to her dock. You see, her bumper hurt, so she had to putt-putt along, and she didn't want anyone to see her going so slowly. "I feel like a little rowboat," she said to herself. Emily wanted to make sure she didn't bump her bruised bumper again, so carefully, very carefully, she poked into place at her dock. Emily really didn't like being such a putt-putt, so pokey. "I can't do anything like I used to," she said to herself. And that was just about the worst feeling in the whole wide, wet world. The next morning, Emily decided to see if her bumper was still bruised. She tried nudging it against the dock. "Ouch," she said out loud. It still hurt. "What'd you say, Emily?" yawned Theodore, waking up. Nothing," mumbled Emily, turning away a little so no one could see her bumper. She really didn't want anyone to know she couldn't do things like she usually did because she bruised her bumper. But something awful happened. "Emily," said the dispatcher, beginning the work meeting, "because of your bruised bumper, today I would like you to move Barrington Barge." Well, at first, Emily couldn't believe the dispatcher had said that. "Barrington?" she repeated slowly. "Yes, Emily," said the dispatcher. "Barrington." Emily wished she could just disappear. Moving Barrington was just about the insiest, teensiest, littlest job in the whole harbor. It certainly wasn't a job for her. "What's the matter with Emily?" said Hank. Emily waited until the work meeting was over and the other tugs were on their way into the harbor. Then she pushed off from her dock and set off to work, poking and putt-putting along. A horn startled her. "Oh, Emily, look at you." It was Pearl, the pilot boat. "Your poor bumper. Oh, does it hurt?" "I'm fine," said Emily quickly. "Almost." "Well, please take it easy today," said Pearl. "Just do your little job moving Barrington and then make sure you go straight home to your dock." Little job. Those words seemed to hurt even more than her bruised bumper. Now everyone in the whole harbor would see how pokey and putt-putty she was. "I'm not going to work today," Emily decided. "Everyone will laugh at me." A little later, Theodore was motoring past a small cove when he heard an even smaller whisper. "Theodore!" That sounded like my name, thought Theodore. "Theodore!" "Emily," said Theodore, surprised. "What are you doing in there?" "Theodore, I need you to do me a really big favor." "What?" Theodore asked. "I need you to move Barrington Barge for me," replied Emily. "But that's your job, Emily," said Theodore, sounding puzzled. "I really need you to do it for me today," pleaded Emily. "It's important." Emily looked like she really didn't want to talk about it. "Oh, okay, Emily," said Theodore, and he set off to get Barrington. Emily breathed a deep sigh of relief. "I'm not coming out of this cove until this bumper is better and I can do all the things I used to do," she said. And then she turned back to the cove. Ouch! She cried, banging her bumper by accident again. By the way her bumper still felt, it seemed like she might have to be there for a long, long time. The sun was beginning to sink over the edge of the ocean, and that meant, once again, it was story time for the tugboats. And once again, Emily wasn't there. How come Emily doesn't come to storytelling time anymore? Hank asked. Theodore had been thinking the exact same thing. Emily was still in that little cove, waiting for the tugs to go to sleep so no one could see her poke and putt-putt home like a little rowboat. She floated still, watching the sun go down, when all of a sudden she was startled by a rumbling engine. Theodore, what are you doing here? I was going to ask you that, Emily, said Theodore. Emily didn't say anything. How come you're hiding? Theodore went on. I'm not hiding, Emily almost shouted. Well, why didn't you want to move Barrington today? Theodore wanted to know. I didn't feel like it, replied Emily in a very quiet voice this time. Is it your bumper? Said Theodore. Promise you won't laugh, Theodore. I promise, Emily. Emily slowly putt-putted out of the little cove. Well, she said, isn't it dumb? All I can do is move eensy-teensy little barges. I like moving barges, said Theodore. But everyone will laugh at me, said Emily. Theodore moved very close to her. Emily, he said softly, even if you could only move bellboys, you'd still be Emily. I know, said Emily, but I can't do anything. You can still be my friend, smiled Theodore. Well, a slow smile spread over Emily's face. Theodore's words seemed to make some of the hurt go away, like magic. Yes, I can always be your friend, she said. You know, I think I'm feeling a little better now. Let's go home, Theodore. You lead the way, Emily, said Theodore. No, smiled Emily. I think today I better follow you, Theodore. Well, let's go together, said Theodore. And that's just what they did. Well, that was the story of Emily's bruised bumpers. And this is the story of the Harbourmaster's bruised thumb. But I know Emily understands. She knows that deep inside, I'm still the same old Harbourmaster, even if I can't button up my own jacket. Thanks for visiting with us here in the Big Harbor. We'll see you all again next time. Now, this is silly. I can't even open my own door.